So, welcome. Tonight, I'm going to be reading Adult Survivors of Emotionally Abusive Parents. Why? Who knows? I just think that it would probably be helpful for possibly somebody that's scanning through, right? So, one of the things that I noticed in this book right away that I really liked was it's actually written by Sherry Campbell. She's a PhD. I don't think that matters. If I got this kind of advice from a homo, or a hobo, or a homo, it wouldn't matter because good advice is good advice. You should just be thankful for good advice. But it turns out she's legit according by man's law. One thing I really like about her is she's always given a remedy to everything that is trauma related. So if you have some qualities that are trauma related, but you don't really like them, there's a remedy. If you have things about you that are trauma related, but you don't seem to mind it, move on with your life. No one says you have to be perfect according to this book, but it does seem like there's a lot of things in this book that have absolutely just floored me. I was so happy to see that they were actually using a lot of the same terms that I have recently learned in the past few years. So I immediately flipped it to the beginning of the book to see when was this published, because I don't think that gray rocking was ever a thing back when I was a teenager, when I first started experiencing some of these situations in my life, in my personal struggle. So, introduction. Not all parents are good parents. Children have no option to choose their parents. All children want to be good. All children are susceptible to their parents' influence, positive or negative. These truths cut to the core. The myth that all parents are good is strongly perpetuated socially, religiously, and culturally, as well as in family law and ironically in the field of psychology and mental health. Have you ever tried to explain that you were going through something to a family member and they still acted as if you were lying to them? Chances are those people probably enabled that person that you're talking about. You're a young child complaining about an adult to another adult that probably created that monster. Little did you realize that. And for whatever reason, through their own guilt or whatever it is, they're still allowing it because it's easier for them to let you face it alone. And that's sad. So for example, some parents are severely character disordered, which means that they have a severe personality disorder. This is not to say that they can't pay their bills on time. So a lot of people judge families based off of how much money they have, but they don't know how much that person or people are you. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm reading a book. Bless your heart. Someone said hi, hello. Feel free to report anybody that's being ugly. I'm going to keep reading, but this is here. I just wanted to read something about adult survivors of emotionally abusive parents. And so weird. That's the topic of choice. Okay, so there are people that have severe personality disorders, and these parents may insist that they love their children, but because these parents are unhealthy, they probably don't even know what love is. If they don't know the love of God, then they really don't know what love is. It's hard to model what love is. A dysfunctional parent's twisted idea of love is to force their own needs onto their children and expect automatic compliance. What these parents fail to grasp is that neither love nor connection can be forced. For this reason, it's critical to acknowledge the common misassumption that anytime a child displays abnormal behaviors, that the child is somehow the problem. Instead, the way in which parents treat their children and any accompanying trauma should be examined at the core source of those behaviors. For instance, Section 8 school, who said these cracked up, probably, are you cracked out or something like that? That's just, hey, somebody subbed, right on. I'm so excited every time I see that. That makes me so happy. And I hope that you have an awesome day. Thank you for sharing with me that you subbed and also for subbing. I'm only on page 2 here. I don't know if I'm going to read this whole book, but I'm going to try to share some of it for right now. Okay. Children are born vulnerable and dependent, and they are unable to support themselves physically, emotionally, mentally, relationally, financially, or spiritually well into their young adult years. And you would think anybody would know that because we were all children at one point, but it's almost like that Peter Pan effect. It's like they forget what it's like to be a kid. Don't do that. Don't forget what it's like to be a kid. It's important to kind of be a kid every once in a while. Go color in a coloring book. Don't forget your inner child. Thank you, Adriana, for the sub. They are unable to support themselves. Oh, I just said that. Even then, most healthy parents support their children to some degree throughout their life. As their children age, I'm going to show you the book. As their children age, healthy parents step back in developmentally appropriate increments. Man, I wish it's like a Hollywood parent that can step back and let you have a relationship and even let you have a bad relationship that fails, like, but they still love you or they're still there to support you or pray for y'all's relationship to work out rather than just bash the joker that you love. Hello from Russia. Privyetnes. I was studying Russian, Rustica. I was Ruski. I love Russia. Good boy. Okay, God bless Russia. Privyet! Da. Okay. Healthy parents act as sources of assistance when their children seek it. Egocentric parents, that is, are parents who are self-centered and self-absorbed. And on the other hand, do not view parenting with the same vision as healthy parents. And a healthy parent doesn't always look like a healthy parent. My dad does not look that healthy, but he gives so much. He gives without any advice for someone struggling to find a job right now. Oh my goodness. Well, yes, I have advice for that. Head up. And there are so many options in the world that my first bit of advice for someone looking for a job right now would be to build a resume with Resume Builder. It is free and it basically pray about it and go to Resume Builder and see if you can do like a little free trial. And that's what I do. And I always get really impressed with my resumes. And then once you have a resume, bam, you can either print it out or email it. I honestly think you do sometimes have to have a credit card. You can't use a Cash App card to pay with the Resume Builder sometimes. And it's only like $1 if you have $1. But, the saying goes, it takes money to make money, unfortunately. So any advice for someone struggling to find a job? And I know McDonald's is always hiring on Tuesday, but you've got to be humble. So my advice is start somewhere and never give up looking for a job that actually makes you happy, and meets all of your needs. You can have a great job, but if it sucks because you're never happy, don't just stop there because the money is good. So what's the topic? So Chris Watts, the topic today is I'm just reading about, I just got this book from the library and it's about parents that suck and what they did to a lot of people. Okay, this is the whole world. And as a parent, I find this very amusing and helpful. And as a child of a parent, I'm not a child, but I had a parent, it's actually helping me find remedies to some things that I didn't realize that were a problem. I didn't realize that oversharing was a thing, but it is. So I've got to learn to listen. It's just pushing me in the right direction as far as what I want to do in my life. But if there's things about yourself that you don't mind, I'm not telling you to change. There is no way to function in a healthy way in the confusion of this come close and go away dynamic. Okay, they're talking about toxic parents. Provide a mixed cocktail, making their children feel like they cannot get rid of them soon enough, in tandem with clutching to their children as tightly as possible. Like at the same time, acting like you're a burden, they also don't want you to find a healthy relationship with somebody. I am number one right now. Right on, dude. Ariana Avidando. Am I saying that right? Avindano. Voila. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Cool. Peace. Hey, Joe, did you like any of my advice, by the way? I'm going to keep reading. There is no way to function in a healthy way in confusion to come close, go away dynamic. This dynamic, children feel uncertain as to of when they are allowed to get their primary needs met. So they go often without having their needs met, thus creating that neglected, traumatizing experience in their childhood. Moment of truth. When parents are too self-absorbed to meet the most basic need for love in a consistent and unconditional manner, children suffer. And honestly, to be able to do anything unconditionally is kind of like you really do need to tap into God. You need to center yourself with God to be able to love someone unconditionally. That means if your kids are learning to drive and it's a teenager and they wreck your car, are you still going to love them just the same? Because God would still love you just the same. You've got to learn how to have that unconditional aspect as a parent, because you're doing for these children that God lent to you. Anyways, I was and am such a child, and likely so are you. I have two deeply toxic parents. Each of them manipulated and mistreated me in their own way, leaving me feeling bereft, insecure, abandoned, repulsive, fundamentally unlovable, and unimportant. Yet, to my bewilderment, they each accepted accessibility to me whenever it suited their needs. I was left in a perpetual state of confusion. I was made to feel like an annoyance that was largely in the way of their freedom, yet was expected to be available at their beck and call. My needs never factored into the relationship between myself and my parents. My life was built around the meeting of their needs. I was the child who was shoved to the side as often as possible. And you know what, guys? Who cares if that's true or not? That is how that person felt. And their parents owe them a damn apology. Yes, if you agree, hit like, because honestly, as I'm reading this, I don't want to sound like a big crybaby, but you have to have you who cares if it's true or not, right? Everybody could tell them that they're making it up and they're a big baby, but someone needs to validate their emotions, and God does do that for us, okay? He does know that that's how that person feels. He knows exactly why that's how they feel, and if someone could just apologize, then maybe they would be able to come out of that shell and grow into a bigger shell, like a crab. I spent much of my childhood feeling alone and having nowhere to turn for support. I felt persistently sad and scared to death of life and people. I am not alone in this. I actually would go visit people in homeless shelters, and I realized right away that these people were not confident to get jobs. They were not confident to get out of the situation that they were in. And even regular parents, like if your dad, who's doing really well, was put in a homeless shelter with nothing, it would be not very easy to get yourself. I mean, if he doesn't have a car, he doesn't have a house, he doesn't have any friends or family that are there to support him, it would be hard. I love God too, Ariana, me too. And God loves you, and he loves anybody that's watching this, and more people need to feel that way. But it's a matter of having a broken heart, and I think that we all have to be broken at some point so that he can fix us and help us. It seems like we all have to go through like a handicap moment or a handicap season before we stop feeling like Superman, like we don't need God, we don't need nobody, right? Anyways, being in a homeless situation, and I was visiting the homeless people, the people did not have strong family backgrounds. They didn't have dads telling them that they believed in them. They didn't have dads telling them to be tougher. They didn't have, really any role models. But the beauty of God is when you center yourself with him first thing in the morning, he guides us every step of the way. Even if you don't know which way to go, even if you feel like a bottle that's been spun and now you wherever you land and you don't know which way is up, God will tell you which way to go. He really is their only way out of that homeless shelter, is getting closer to God. And if they can't figure it out while they're in there, then God have mercy on them. I felt persistently sad and scared to death of life and people. I am not alone in this. Since I started writing books about toxic family relationships, I've developed an incredible following of brave-hearted people like yourself who have also cut off or drastically distanced themselves, or in some situations when you're living with a parent and you're a young teenager or whatever, and you're advanced or you've outgrown your parents, you have to emotionally distance yourself. You can't quite financially get out of the house, but you have to emotionally distance yourself. And this book does tell you how to do that in some ways, because I've already skipped ahead. Like yourself, who have also cut off or drastically distanced themselves from parents who raised them. As I discussed in my previous book, Adult Survivors of Toxic Family Members, there's a powerful cultural kickback towards those of us who have been forced to make this decision. Because of this negative kickback, estrangement from family, especially parents, continues as a silent epidemic very few openly talk about. Why? Because those who have not had this negative experience cannot imagine the depths of pain children of emotionally abusive parents experience. Outsiders stand in fierce opposition towards the abusive dynamic, and they cannot fathom the need for you to separate from your parent. They consider it a no-no. They try to jump right into the Bible and say, you're supposed to obey your parents. But when you take your orders from God, and these folks are extremely toxic, God, who understands your heart, is not, his ways are higher than man's ways. Sometimes you have to just nod and have peace with those people, and then know that God really loves you and he's really still working on your parents, but you do not have to keep being in a toxic environment that's hurting you. The mindset of emotionally abusive and manipulative parents is juvenile. The parents erroneously believe that because they choose to bring you into the world or adopt you, that this gives them freedom to mistreat you in whatever ways they choose, viewing you as obligated to tolerate it. The mindset they hold is, I brought you into the world, therefore I can treat you however I want, and I can take you out, yada, yada, yada. You're not allowed to disagree because you're the child. I will exploit your inherent need for me to make you feel like you owe me for the life I gave you. These people don't know God. These people do not give God the thanks, the grace, or appreciation for you as the child he lent them to. You are so important and so loved by God. Emotionally abusive parents do not view parenting as a love relationship, but rather as a transactional relationship of ownership. To take advantage of the basic needs of a child is nothing short of grotesque. This distorted mindset is this is called The Adult Survivor of Emotionally Abusive Parents by Sherry Campbell. Just thought I'd randomly throw that back out there. To take advantage of the basic needs of a child is nothing short of grotesque. This distorted mindset is deeply dehumanizing. Children do not owe parents their life simply because they raised them. Children do not choose their parents or ways their parents treat them, because having a child is a parent's choice. It would make sense that the more responsible, skilled, and mature parent would see themselves as owning up to it and owning it to their less skilled, more valuable child, to be purposeful in treating their child with the utmost love, nurturance, and respect. There are types of parents out there. I say that there's only two types of parents out. There's three types of people and two types of parents. This is not in the book. There's a parent that says, you owe me, and there's a parent that says, I owe you. And then three types of people: there's sinners, there's commoners, and then there's those rare saints, those awesome people that are just like angelic. Moments of truth. Children should not have to earn love. They should be able to rest in it. And with God as your father and knowing him, you do get to rest in it. And when you have problems, even as an old adult, you take your problem to God and you get to rest. That is not man's ways. That is God's way. And it involves having faith. Here we go, back to the book. Parents give you either a life to love or a life to hate because they are the source and director of your life from the moment you are born. When raised by deeply character disordered parents, you live a life under parents who bring you misery. Sadly, the more fearful and defeated you become, the more control your parent can assert over you. Egocentric parents make life feel like one long, never-ending battle against the odds. No child deserves to be treated in this manner. This includes you. The psychological damage accomplished by emotionally abusive parents to the self-worth of their children is inexplicable and often impossible for survivors of toxic parents to put into words. In these scenarios, it is often best to find a community of other survivors and experts who have also experienced parental mistreatment and abuse. I actually just found this book in the library this week, and I was amazed at how much of this information, fortunately, went along hand in hand with the other comforting information I found. And you can find it on Google. Children of narcissists, or you could just look up narcissistic parents, and it would talk about a lot of the same stuff. And this book was actually printed last year. It was just written last year. It's a little baby book. And I like a lot of what I've read so far, so I'm reading it now with you guys. In these scenarios, it is often best to find a community of other survivors, like the one on the internet I mentioned, the narcissistic parents. In these scenarios, it's often survivors and experts who have also experienced parental mistreatment and abuse. In me, you have both. I have survived much trauma coming from two highly dysfunctional parents, and I have written about my journey from both the clinical and experimental space to give you a path to follow and situations to relate to. This book is another step up the mountain of your healing. And then I'm going to throw in there little spiritual tidbits of, you know what, if you don't like the advice from the book, just know that God loves you exactly how you are. And if your parents broke you down, here's your crutch for today. He loves you and he is your father, and he created you to get through this trouble or to battle this type of parent. You were actually created to get through it. And you don't have to be bitter towards God for these parents, even though I still battle sometimes just wanting to say why. There's other ways we can look at it than just being miserable and blaming God or blaming them. We can actually just say, hey, you know what? This person's not giving me the love that I need, and I'm coming to you for that. And next thing you know, you're going to feel it with faith and patience. I promise you, God is real and his magic is real. People don't call it magic. They call it blessings, but it's magic. This book is another step up the mountain for your healing, and you will be hearing many truths about toxic parents that I believe will be reflected in your own experience. Please note that I am writing about what I have found to be most common and frequently shared experiences of survivors of emotionally abusive parents. However, your unique experience may differ. This book will provide practical tools to keep you focused on your healing, and these tools will assist and inspire you to live the life you've always deserved to live, always deserved to live. And God knows, and God will recompense you for the trouble you went through when you do decide to turn to him. You are not alone, and you've never been alone. Moment of truth. It is time we stop associating strength with the ability to smile through the tears and suffer in silence. Joyce Meyer says we're allowed to be angry. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that it's a sin to be angry. It's a sin whenever you're angry and you're acting out of anger. You're supposed to process your anger. You're actually supposed to feel your anger, and sit in your anger with your mouth shut and your heart open to whatever God wants you to do about it. But you don't plot murders when you're angry and then go do it. You just let the moment pass, fully aware of the fact that it's fine and it's good to accept that you're angry in this moment and that it's understandable. And God even gets angry. He does. God even gets angry. He designed us in his image. But what we're not supposed to do is sin while being angry. You don't go beating the life out of people just because you're angry or taking it out on your kids or on people that are weaker than you or people that are financially dependent on you, etc., etc. Here we go. Chapter 1. The critical importance of parents. From the moment you were born, the first people you give your heart to are your parents, not by your choice, but due to their choice to bring you into their world. You give your love to them because they're all you have. And Aaron Doughty teaches us how to take that love back. Yeah, AARONDOUGHTY. I spent 5 years completely away, separated from some toxic people in my life. And I learned just like that Guardians of the Galaxy when Chris Pratt's tossing that little blue light orb to his dad and everything. You can take your power back from people who have hurt you or broke you, just by getting back to that initial place like they're talking about right here. You give your love to them because they are all you have, okay? There was a time when you were dating somebody, you went from not dating them to now you're dating them, and you know that you started choosing to give that person love or attention or value in your life, and you can actually take that value back and give them the right amount of value that you think that they really need. You don't have to give them the whole world of meaning to you. Their opinions don't have to mean the world to you. You can minimize what these people mean to you. Unfortunately, they put themselves in that position, but you are putting yourself back in a position of power over your own life by realizing that I've given these people too much power, and it's time for me to remember what it was like when I chose that this is what my mom was going to mean to me in kindergarten when they started asking me questions about my mom or whatever. Or, my husband, whoever that is breaking you and hurting you and trying to invalidate you, you can validate yourself and take your power back. You give your love to them because they're all you have. The love from the child to parent initially is unaltered, effortless, natural, pure, and necessary for survival. This love doesn't require anything to be earned because it's fundamental to the innocence of the child's heart and in their inherent vulnerability. Now, imagine if the first people you gave your heart to were cruel, neglectful, and selfish, and exploited the purity of your love. What would happen then? Your innocence would be destroyed, and your love would be replaced with fear. Nothing in the outside world has a more profound impact over who you are than the parents who raised you. The relationship you have with your parents establishes the way you think and feel about yourself. This relationship is influential enough to establish the foundation for your personality, life choices, and idea of your overall value throughout the course of your life. The relationship shared between parent and child has the most potent impact on your emotional resilience as it pertains to the critical areas of your social, mental, and emotional health. The relationship with your parents should have been the most treasured and special bond for you and your parents to enjoy and nurture over the course of your lifetime. And then we get to watch TV shows where everybody's parent is perfect and we're over here struggling. Characteristics of healthy parent, but nobody's family is perfect, and this is not talking about that. This is just talking about adult survivors of emotionally abusive parents. Characteristics of healthy parents. We will begin discussing by examining the difference between healthy and toxic parenting. Healthy parenting starts before you are born. Healthy parents see themselves as your visionaries, are actually aware of the enormous reliability and accountability that come along with their role as your parent, and understand that their parenting practices and your development are deeply symbiotic. Therefore, it is their greatest desire to keep you safe, aware, and feeling loved. And so when you've got this kind of burden as a parent, we all need God. We got to pray every day that God will guide us as a parent or provide us the love and stability and every self-awareness that we need as a parent, So God is so important in every aspect of our journey here on earth. We are supposed to meet the basic needs, model healthy values. We have to be protective, advocate for you, grant you the necessary space to develop. That's going to be hard for me. I have a teenager. And I want to give her space, but at the same time, there's another part of me that's like, I want to know more. But I do trust God with my daughter. And I do trust that he loves her more than I do, and he can do for her more than I can. And I know that also I'm important enough that when I'm praying over her, that he's honoring my prayers for her. I do try to get her to pray for herself, but as a parent, we have that right to pray for our kids. So make sure you're praying for other people's kids too. If you don't have kids and you're like, man, those poor kids, just pray for them and know that you are important and you are loved by God, and so are they. And your prayer was a push in the right direction. You just push those children closer to the throne of God and all the blessings that they're going to get. Under the direction of healthy parents, family is a happy, clear, fun, expressive, understandable, predictable, and peaceful experience. For example, emotions are talked through, your questions are given responses. You are taught the necessary life skills. You are included in family decisions. Honest and accurate information is valued. Your interests are honored and supported. You are free to express love and affection. Issues around conflict are addressed directly and openly. Anytime I had conflict, I was always blamed. I literally was beat by a man one time. I was 20-something years old in college and in the church choir, and I still did not matter enough to my mom and my brother. And when I told them that a guy had punched me, they said, verbatim, they said, "What did you do?" And I knew then something ain't right. Like, even, let's just say I did do something, right? I really thought blood was thicker than water. I thought that they're supposed to have your back. I didn't do anything. I really didn't do anything. It was really something. This person turned out to be a functioning alcoholic, and they had a lot of severe issues that I was unaware of, and they were also a secret alcoholic. So they didn't even let me know that they were drinking when they were drinking. This is not the case when your parents are emotionally abusive. Toxic parents have children to feel power. Healthy parents have children to empower. A child who has never lacked a balanced upbringing will continue to advance for the rest of their lives. I'm getting hot in this vehicle. I'm going to turn on my radio. I'm going to turn on my AC. Oh, thank the Lord for the AC. Characteristics of abusive parents. Emotionally abusive parents are vastly different in their approach to parenting. It's common for these parents to announce to the world, "I would die for my children." And that may sound valiant, but with toxic parents, these grandiose words prove not to be accurate. And healthy parents do not parent from a bold, dramatic sentiment. That does not the reality of how they treat their children. Instead of claiming that they would die for their children, healthy parents make conscious choices to live for their children. Psychologically abusive parents are transactional, not relational. You are a thing that must adhere to inflexible rules. Fairness is not a consideration. They prefer weekly reports rather than a connection or a rapport. They don't want harmony. Your value is measured based on performance rather than from a shared, engaging journey of life with you. They run a balance sheet of give and take. Oh, have you ever even been in a relation, like a loving relationship where someone's like, "Oh, I bought last time. I did this last time. Can't you do this?" Like, oh, that's not. If it gets to that point, it's already heading downward. I mean, it's not supposed to feel that way, and you should be communicating before it gets to that point of, give and take and keeping on. Something's going on my phone. I don't know what that was. Run a balance sheet of give and take, keeping financial and emotional ledgers to use against you to secure compliance. Nothing is given for free. Everything is a risk of being taken away. Oh, and then the Indian giver. Oh, man, I can't stand that. Someone gives you something and they take it back always, even if it's a Christmas gift. Feel slighted when things don't go their way. You must do all you can to ensure your parents are happy and satisfied, even when the standards keep shifting. Seek to control rather than to connect. So they don't want to understand you. They want to tell you to quit your job, to leave your wife, to yada, yada, yada. That's not, they don't want to know why you want to be with your wife, or what it is you like about the job. They can't handle it. They got to have this control. Make the rules and punish you if you don't follow them precisely, even when they are very unclear. They believe children are responsible for their parents' happiness. Ugh. You are not to complicate their life with your own needs for happiness. You're not supposed to complicate their happiness by having a life. View children as having zero rights in the relationship. Ugh, this is just not how you raise them, because then they're going to grow up this way. Children understand that they are not supposed to feel dread towards their parents, who are supposed to treasure them above all others. When you grow up feeling this kind of dread, it gives you the sense that you are different from others, causing you to feel bad about yourself for feeling so negative towards the people that you call your parents. The last thing you're likely to consider when trying to understand the dislike you have for them is that your parents could be the direct cause of those feelings. This type of self-incrimination often renders you defenseless to express what you feel in words that others would be unable to understand, and that is how dysfunctional parents silence you from exposing their degrading treatment. From this vantage point, it is easier to understand why so many adults in the United States are estranged from their parents, and why so many teenagers and young adults report abuse at the hands of their parents. These parents, all the while, deny any abuse, purporting that their children are over-exaggerating and are dramatic and far too sensitive. Parents give you either a life to love or a life to hate. Emotionally abusive parents deny your experience of abuse. They will not give you the apology that you need. You're not going to get the closure you need. So don't be like, oh, I can't wait for them to die. And don't be like, oh, I can't wait for them to apologize. Just understand that your validation is going to come from God and that He knows exactly what you're going through. A theme common to emotionally abusive parents is the denial of their children's feelings and experiences. These parents claim to love their children. Maybe in their minds they do. They feign wanting to know your reasons for any given issue. However, couched under that statement is the reality that they see themselves as the judge and jury of all you need and desire to say, and have already ruled against you. Their idea of parenting is placing you into forced servitude. When you express needs of your own, you receive a disgusted, retaliatory response. When your experience of their emotional abuse is deflected, dismissed, or denied, it robs you of your existence, because this is who you've really been through this. It's almost like you never existed if no one's ever going to say, yes, that did happen to you. They're saying that never happened to you. Then it's like, am I even here? Do I even exist? Do you even know who I am? Do you even know what you've put me through? When you are robbed of your voice, a long list of unwanted outcomes arise. Egocentric parents make you feel humiliated and inferior. And then that results into how you feel when you are out trying to be socially accepted. That can happen. You can feel inferior, and you can either mask it with this false sense of bravado. You can act like you're something you're not, or you can literally just be inferior and let all walks of life walk all over you. When you do give voice to your pain, you are accused of throwing your parents under the bus, especially by their parents, the enablers. These types of dismissals allow your emotionally abusive parents to hide in plain sight. Healing is not possible when your reality is not given the proper outlet for validation. Reality doesn't matter to emotionally abusive parents. The type of narcissism common to emotionally abusive parents is not rooted in insecurity or inability to process emotions. As much as the literature may state, toxic parents function from entitlement and dishonesty, placing them at odds with reality. If or when you take the side of reality, you become the enemy or the scapegoat. These types of parents are pathological liars who lie about the ways in which they abuse you to protect their pride. Even to themselves, they will go delusional. They find great joy in flying under the radar and getting away with their abuse. Sound familiar to anybody? Abuse is a conscious, intentional choice. No one and nothing unconscious forces any parent to grossly mistreat their children. Your parents know right from wrong and disregard that knowledge in favor of doing what they want. There are always other choices, and these choices are common knowledge to all human beings. I love that she's holding these people accountable. The person that wrote this book is Sherry Campbell. The book is Adult Survivors of Emotionally Abusive Parents. Bottom line is your parents have wounded you, and you're not abusing your children or other people one after another. There is no excuse for abuse. Repeated mistakes made by highly dysfunctional parents aren't accidents, but a reflection of their poor character. For example, a girl had a bank account opened at her age of 15 with her mother as the co-signer, so she could start learning to manage money. This girl shared the angry text thread shared between herself and her mother, where this girl had confronted her mother for what her mother called accidentally taking out close to $15,000 from her account over the past 2 years. The girl pleaded with her mother to stop taking money from her account on numerous occasions. Her mother's response was to deny the reality by saying, "Don't talk down to me. Accidents happen." Her mother's response was juvenile at best. The mother shifted blame onto her daughter, making her daughter the bad guy because the mother paid her daughter back whenever caught. Because this mother paid her daughter back whenever caught, this mother believed all was well, that she had made up for her carelessness. What this mother refused to look at was how deeply betrayed her daughter felt and how these financial... Hello, speaking of daughters, I have one right here. Hello, princess.
Honey, let me in.
Let you in? Oh, God. What did you do? Who let you outside?
I let myself out.
You let yourself out? Are they looking for you in the house? Come here.
Just let me out of the house.
Come on, princess. All right. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, Fanny. Here you go. Sit down.
Thank you, Mama.
I'm reading a book. You feel free to join me in this car and do your thing, and I'm going to finish doing my thing.
Yeah,
And my chicken wants to say hello.
hello, the chicken.
All right.
Hello.
I'm going to finish reading this chapter, but
Okay.
duty calls. It's funny that we're talking about daughters. I'll roll down that window so you can look out that window.
Hi, chicken.
Okay, let's see here. What this mother refused to look at was how deeply betrayed her daughter felt and how these financial dishonesties drove an intense emotional distance between them. Because this mother could not responsibly or mindfully manage money spent or validate the girl's grievances, this girl closed that joint account and opened a new account her mother could not access. I'm just proud of that girl for learning boundaries, because some people feel guilty and want to keep letting the parent, like, give the parent another chance or show the parent out of fear. They allow the parent to stay in a joint account and try it again, you know. No parent should access their child's personal money without permission. If a child did the same thing to a parent's bank account, there would be massive consequences.
Water.
Moment of truth. You can have a sip of this tea, babe.
But is it real tea?
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
What do you mean, is it real tea? Yes, it's real tea. Toxic parents don't feel that they don't need to ask children for permission because they feel entitled to the forgiveness that the kid is going to eventually give them. Not all parents are good. From the youngest of ages, children are indoctrinated into the idea that all parents are good. If you Google the word parents, you'll be flooded with images of picture-perfect, happy families. Flashes of tender smiles as parents watch their babies drift to sleep. And cozy, hey, turn that down, youngin'.
You have to turn your thing down.
You want me to turn my voice down?
Mm-hmm.
You're the one that got in the car with me. I'm reading for a moment. And give me just another moment, and then I will give you all of my time and energy. You could spend hours scrolling through these glossy stock photos without finding a single photo of a child shedding tears. You're putting me on the spot. I'm glad you're out here. Give me just another minute, okay?
Glad you're out.
You are? Is it nice and cool in the car? I'll just turn the AC on.
Now he's hidden.
We see these same images of perfect parents and happy homes on the covers of magazines in television commercials, and in our most culturally iconic sitcoms. That's why I keep mentioning Hollywood. But how would you feel if none of these images told your personal story? Oh my gosh. Baby number 2 is coming to the car. Hello, child number 2.
Can I come in?
Sure, you can
No.
hop on in, but not on this side, on the other side.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay. I'll be reading to the kids. Adult survivors of emotionally abusive parents to my daughters. That's good. Hey, whoa, be careful coming out. Okay.
Yes, Mommy.
All right, you good? Okay. Y'all gotta chill out while I finish reading this.
Cool.
I want to finish this, and then I'll give you guys all of my time.
And I got.
This is why we rarely see opposing narratives that counter this myth in culturally open spaces. Until the myth can be debunked, many children and adult survivors of toxic parents continue to suffer from its effects. As a culture, we lean in to protect parents, sacrificing the children. Children under dysfunctional parents are kept as prisoners to their parents' needs. The only option for these children is the loss of their freedom. I'm going to lock this door so you don't fall out of the car.
Yeah, that isn't right.
It won't even let me because that door's not shut all the way. So just don't lean on that door right now, please. As a culture, we lean in on to protect parents, sacrificing our children, and children under dysfunctional parents are kept as prisoners to their parents' needs. The only option for these children is the loss of their freedom and the rights to author their own life story. In God, we have freedom to be ourselves. God created you to be you. Your parent may have created you to be another mini-me or to live vicariously through you, but God does not. That's why He is such an awesome parent. He gave us free will. I see you back there. Stay out of it. I'm not making a game out of this. I'm telling you to stay out of this frame. If you see your face in this and you start doing some weird 1990s sticking your tongue out in the background, I'm turning it off. I'm going to hold the book up and read the rest of the day. This is by children of emotionally abusive parents must follow along in the false narrative, the fake life their parents trying to make them live, being mindful not to tarnish their parents' image because doing so could put their own survival at risk. They know not to be too difficult or express negative feelings. Children are sacrificed. I'm going to finish this up, and I'm going to thank you guys so much for joining me as I share this book that I got from the library. I actually thought I was going to have to write a book about these topics because I've learned so much in the 5 years that I went no contact with some toxic people in my life and then began writing books, but they were for children because I like to illustrate things. So I was illustrating children's books. You can find me on Amazon, The Butterfly and the Coconut Tree, Charlotte or Turb, or Richard, the World's Fastest Whale.
Mommy, Catherine doesn't want to share that.
You almost popped my neck. It would have felt good.
She didn't. She's not sharing that. Not sharing. Let's look at there.
Give me 3 more minutes, and I'm going to reward you guys with a special treat.
Okay. At the gas station somewhere?
No, I'm not going to leave. We got something in the house hidden in a special place. Children,
Tell us what it is.
Catherine,
Is it a special?
children are... I don't think I'm able to finish this live.
Is it a
Thank you guys for
special?
watching. Have a blessed night, and I am going to enjoy reading the rest of these books. I've even thought about reading children's books on my live. Not necessarily just mine, but any children's book that is being put in my daughter's book bag for the day so that so that you can share the books or the stories with your kids if you have kids. Have a blessed night. Thank you so much for watching. And if you ever want to watch the replays, I like to hit the speed up thing so that I can hear myself talking really fast, because apparently I talk a lot slower than I think. And whenever I go back to read the replay, I always hit 2x, and I'm pleased with what I've said. Anyway, thank you guys again, and have a blessed night, and take care. Don't be afraid to put yourself first sometimes. You gotta have balance.
The baby